Intergalactic Earth Fusion Mission Upgrade, the show that discusses the normal, the paranormal, the natural, the supernatural, the organic to know the inorganic, the weird, the wonderful, all things outrageous, strange, upbeat, and cutting edge. Broadcasting to you live from Black Mountain, North Carolina, land of the sky. I'm Missy Hill, and today we have Miles, and he is getting a cup of coffee right now. Miles Johnston from Bases TV. I'm very excited about this. So let's see. I can just give a few updates in the chat. Oh, what, you can't see me? Okay, how's that? I'm in this small room. This studio is kind of a small room, and I'm also going to have to get an external microphone, I guess, so I can be heard better. It's just I have to figure out which one is compatible with Apple as well as like a laptop. So that way, when I graduate to going back to a regular laptop, instead of an iPad, I don't have to buy another microphone because, as you guys know, I'm a grid worker and I travel around. I jump between 3 different locations, sometimes 4 or 5, which is Hot Springs, North Carolina, Black Mountain, North Carolina, Edisto Island, South Carolina, and then sometimes my old house in Fletcher, and also Harris Casino in Cherokee. Those are my 5 bases, if you will. So anyway, let's have Miles talk a little bit about himself and go ahead and share your 2001 Space Odyssey, which was a great movie with a lot of predictive programming, folks, but let's see it.
Hello, Dave. Are you okay? Dave? Dave? Hello, Dave. How are you? You're not Dave. You're Missy.
And I have a song to add.
I've forgotten the nursery rhyme. I've forgotten the nursery rhyme. For crying out loud, I've forgotten the nursery rhyme. Daisy, Daisy. That's about as much as I can remember.
Here's another thing I can add to it. Ground control to Major Tom.
Now, that's a lot of stuff.
Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
Well, this is the, you see, most people have mugs for these things. This,
I need a mug. I need a
this
mug.
is a mug, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now, a mug has got, used to be a restaurant here in town. It's got thick stuff. Is there anything left in that? There is. Don't spill it on the computer. This, however, is a China tumbler. Now, and I know it's not a tumbler, but that's what they call them. This is made of bone china. It costs twice as much as the other thing. It's very thin, and it's got our logo for the conference that we've just had.
That is cool.
For God's sake, don't drop this full cup of coffee over everything. For God's sake, don't do it. And then we have the band. Now, I think people have seen this. These are quite well known.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah, I know Julia has these cups. I think she broke one, but she likes to drink.
She didn't break one, did she?
She has a new one now, but she likes to drink her.
Yeah, but I had to send one to her. Yeah. So actually, that's Julia's logo. I kept on saying Laura designed this. I mean, Laura doesn't design. So
Julia, she's in the house.
And she just ran this off for the second conference this year on disclosure, which is going to be in the autumn.
That's so cool. I really would love to come. I don't know if I can, but I would love to. Because
well, listen, we could have World War with the Cabal, and that's going to have Sandy Adams and Lucy Wyatt. Now, Sandy Adams is a hot blonde. She's very posh and eloquently spoken with English. And she's nailed the Agenda 21, the Agenda 2030. She's nailed all the United Nations documents. She's read them out at conferences. She said, look, this is the book. This is not conspiracy. And she's going to be talking at the conference with a brilliant woman called Lucy Wyatt. The Lucy Wyatt is a mathematician. She's very, very la-di-da, owns a couple of farms with horses on them and things. And she's done a whole lot of work on what's called the doom cult.
Oh,
Now these were the really, really bad guys that were thrown out of the Vatican, right? So you got the evil child-eating, satanic, bad whatever of the Vatican, right? The Vatican. I have a book called The Vatican Assassins. It's about that thick. It's about that wide. And it's all written. You know those books that they have in churches?
have you ever been there? Have you
What?
been? Have
To
you
what?
been to Rome and the Vatican?
I actually have been to Rome. I spoke in Rome just before
Oh,
a whole
wow.
lot of things went wrong. And it's a wonderful place. And Italians are fantastic. You know, they know how to make pizza. America, Britain, forget it, you know. Anyway, now we got some. Now Lucy she's done all this really deep work. Deep. How deep are we going in this? Are we having a happy time, or are we
We can
getting it?
we can go wherever we want. I definitely want to hear about this whole crop circle thing too. But you start wherever you want. You go wherever you want, and if there's somewhere I want you to go, I'll direct.
Okay. Well, so
'Cause I
this
definitely
was
wanna
going
hear
to be
about the crop
okay
circle.
in this conference thing. So we're going to have that on the 5th and 6th of November.
And
Now,
where's it going to be? Because it was in Devizes last time. It's somewhere different now.
no, it was in the Bouverie Hall in Pusey last time. Now we're going to have it at the rugby club. The rugby club, where grown men don't cry every time they had a metatarsal in their boot and fall on with this football soccer thing, you know. Anyway, and so we're gonna have Laura Eisenhower.
I love Laura. She's a
great. And she's a Brit. She's a Brit, actually.
I know
she's
she is, and she's in Scotland right now playing with her sons. It's
are you serious? I thought she was. Oh, God.
She's in Scotland and goes back to the UK, and then she goes home, and then she
Excuse me. Scotland is in the UK, but it isn't in England.
I meant England. I'm sorry, England.
Ladies and gentlemen, Missy Hill, if she was in Scotland, she would be eating deep fried pizza. Now, pizzas give you 5 heart attacks in the funeral, but in Scotland, you'll get your pizza fried your pizza.
Right,
and
Scotland, huh?
Yeah, right. And there's a thing called a Mars bar. You don't have them in America. A Mars bar. It's a chocolate bar with toffee in it and other things. They deep fry that in Scotland.
I will not eat deep fried
chocolate
in Scotland. I will not.
You'll be having your deep fried pizza, and you'll be having your deep fried Mars bar, and you'll be having a pint of heavy. Be having a pint of heavy, and when you finish with your pint of heavy, you'll be dancing around with your. Oh, I've run out of accents. And by the way, it's Scotland, and you have Scottish people in Scotland.
Right.
In order to annoy, because I'm from Northern Ireland, and I used to work for the BBC. The BBC, I would occasionally annoy a Scottish person by calling them Scotch people. Scotch is a drink.
Scotch is a drink, right? But
Scottish people are not.
I think.
You might say that I couldn't possibly comment. So we're going to have Laura Eisenhower. Some guy called Brad Olson just keeps turning up. I think he's running after some young girls from
Venus.
From Venus, yeah. And and so Brad, I don't know what he's going to say. He better say something important, because I think he just wants to get his air ticket paid for.
Something about Antarctica, probably.
No, he's done all that and the secret space program, but he was in Germany earlier this year. I mean, this is with Laura Eisenhower. Now that's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we're not messing about, because the Germans can't talk about certain German things because there's a law against it. But a Yank and a fake British person, British. Well, I'm British. Yeah, British. Yeah, we okay. Cool, blimey,
mate.
No, that's yeah.
You know, Julia was trying to do Southern accents from the United States, like a Southern belle.
I don't think she could do that, but she'll. And then we're going to have Philip Barrow and some more speakers. We're going to have a really hardcore guy, a veteran from 1957 to late 59, a guy called John Irwin, and he was out literally bumping off with extreme prejudice, Bilderberger type people. That was, and they discovered a whole pile of secret stuff. That's way back in those sort of times. So anyway, that's roughly what we're going to have in autumn. We're going to have it in autumn. You colonists probably don't know what autumn means.
Autumn is fall. It's going to be actually after Halloween, so it's Samhain, as you're supposed to say, in November. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, Samhain. I've never heard that. Where we are here, actually in Wiltshire, there's an awful lot of the old ways, Beltane and all those sorts of things, and a lot of those things are celebrated. I mean, this idea that Britain is. Listen, I'm speaking with a Belfast accent. Any pretense that I can do other accents is murderous, including trying to speak French.
Belfast, home of the Titanic.
Yes. Well, actually,
if you believe in the Titanic, or was it the sister ship, or was it
the Olympic? Yeah. So anyway, and that was the White Star Line, and a whole pile of other things happened, but that's other things we can talk about, not talk about. So anyway, that's that, and that's Julia's banner. It's the first one, and we're probably going to change it a few times.
What is the closest airport to this place if one wants to go?
Well, the best thing is to come in international from either the Gatwick, that's London Gatwick, or Heathrow, depending on which airline. You can fly into Bristol or Cardiff, but then that just gets confusing, and you got a hell of a train journey here. You see, where we are is in the middle between the east and west of the south of England.
Right.
But the easiest thing to do, you can get flights to Cardiff. That's in Wales. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, everybody just flies into London Heathrow. London's so big, it's got about 6 airports. You got Luton, you got London City, you've got London Stansted, which is about 60 miles out of London. You know, it's about as close to London as, well, it's not in London. Gatwick and all that. So I think and we should always fly the flag. That would be British Airways. British Airways.
I've not been to Britain. I've been to Ireland, so I was on Aer Lingus, and I went into Dublin. And then I went to Cork, and I went to Shannon, and all the little places in between. So only Southern Ireland. I really wanted to get to the Dingle Peninsula. I didn't get there. Oh, right. That's a big deal. There's a whole lot of ET stuff out there, and a lot of stuff connected with maybe Atlantis. Yes. Way out from Dingle, about 300 miles. There's a thing called the High Brazil. Have you heard of that? I think I've heard of it, but I don't remember what it is. Well, it's a physical group of islands which physically materializes for a period of time, and you can physically land on it. Oh,
And this is very important because that's why it's high Brazil sounds like Brazil in South America, because there's a connection there.
right.
It's no coincidence that Brazil, the way that we would spell it in South America, and you've got these islands just off the coast of Ireland, well, a couple of 100 miles off the coast, and they're called High Brazil, and then they dematerialize, they disappear. And some people think that's connected with Atlantis or sections of the destroyed Atlantis, which come in and out of dimension. I mean, we're not talking mists and you sort of might see something. This is physical land mass that is there.
Well, they say that area, I mean, I know Oceana Dean's work was Lohas Atlantis, and the whole King Arthur. We really don't know what timeline. I mean, that could be in multiple timelines, and that Arthur's actually in stasis. Now, do you feel Arthur is connected to Glastonbury Tor or Wales?
Well, no, this is where a whole pile of things is happening. Now, what people don't realize is that south of Cornwall, there were 3 counties which were above water. And they were known as Lioness, I think with a Y. And they have got standing stones and they have structures and there's churches. And all that sank below the sea relatively recently. We're only talking maybe 2,000 years. And this is what James Casbolt was. And that stretches out to the Isles of Scilly, which is way past, that's way past Cornwall, right? But then just on the other side of the English Channel, you've got Brittany. And of course, these are 2 parts of really the same land mass. It's just that, the waters came up. And, so, there is stuff out there. And at Rendlesham Forest, one of the first alleged official uses of the emergency rescue people at Rendlesham Forest, RAF Woodbridge and the Bentwaters Twin Base Complex. Woodbridge has got a very, very long runway, and that was used. That was the most easterly airport, or the easterly base on the landmass of England, so that bombers coming back had some place to land. It was another 50 miles or closer to them. So, and a lot of them, Gregory Peck did a movie there called 12 O'Clock High, and that was based at Bentwaters, at the Bentwaters base. So there's a lot of stuff there, but the point is that was an Apollo and a space shuttle rescue team were based there, and they did secret missions. There's a space shuttle nose cone that was in one of the hangars at Bentwaters, because a space shuttle came in and tried to land at the Woodbridge base, but it didn't make it. It broke up into the sea, and that's before the shuttle was officially launched.
Oh, wow.
And there were Apollo capsules which came down, and again, that's not Apollo than anything you'd know about or we would know about. They came down to the Bay of Biscay, outside France, and those teams were used to rescue them. But the official use of the Apollo of the space rescue people at Bentwaters went to a place southwest of Ireland. There was a ship in trouble. Again, what type of ship was in trouble? And they needed a rescue team. And if you're aware of, Linda Howe and the two main American witnesses at Bentwaters, Woodbridge, they came up with a bunch of numbers. The 2 main American guys, not Larry Warren, the other 2 guys. Anyway, the point about it is that there was a bunch of numbers that Linda Howe did a whole report on this with this American guy whose name escapes me. But he came up with a lot of codes. And one of the codes that he came up with was about a rescue southwest of Ireland.
Wow.
Does that all work? Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
It's the two American main guys. They've been floated in to completely cover the whole main interface with the alien stuff there. Because the bottom line is that whatever happened at Rendlesham Forest in this movie called Capel Green, that's been banned. It's been silenced. It's telling the real story, and they don't want it out. The bottom line is that the craft that landed at Bentwaters at the Rendlesham Forest things in December 1980, there had already been a similar incident in 1977 in the forest. But nobody wants to talk about that. The British witnesses are talking about it. And then in 1974, Marconi Defence, which is in Farnborough, which is just outside London, there was a whole bunch of greys in the Marconi Defence drawing office. They were in the top secret drawing office. In those days, you actually had everything on blueprints and big sheets of paper. And these aliens were going through everything. The design office where the secret designs were in Marconi Defence, which then became DARPA, and then that became in the modern era Kinetic. Have you heard of them?
No.
Kinetic is 2 Qs. Kinetic. And you've got a Q at each end of the word. And what does a Q look like? It's an O with a stroke through it. That's portal technology. You're Kinetic, and they've got a base just beside Stonehenge.
So is that sort of like a CERN type of a thing then?
Well, it's just a name. And Marconi Defence had aliens in it in 1974, and all the security people just freaked out. So I mean, we've had aliens in British bases for decades.
I've always wondered what is going on, like in the Isle of Man. Is there some kind of weird something?
That's a very good thing, sweetheart, Missy. When I used to work for the BBC, I used to work for the Broken Biscuit Company.
Biscuits, not crumpets? Not crumpets.
No, we don't have crumpets, for God's sake. We're in England. You're in Britain. Britain. We have biscuits. And not the type of biscuits you're talking about. We're talking about British biscuits in the BBC, for crying out loud. Biscuits. And that's a bit of a joke, because they're always having meetings, you see. They're having meetings with cups of tea, and they have their finger out, like this.
You said you were drinking coffee. What type of coffee do you drink? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm drinking Perman's coffee because I have proper stuff I grind in the morning with a grinder. This is Nescafe limp-wristed weak stuff.
Yeah, Nescafe is what they drink across the pond, I noticed, in Ireland. It's not any good here, but when you get it there, it's not bad. We have things like Black Rifle. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, actually, even Starbucks, you know about them. Kirkland Pacific Bold Organic.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. Kirkland Pacific Bold. Kirkland, yeah, or whatever. So anyway, I'm just going to do this here.
But back to the Isle
alien
of
space, alien spacecraft.
Where's that one?
Oh, I can't talk about that. We've talking about I told you.
Okay.
That's it. That's it for crop circles. Okay, everybody, this is your crop circle information here. We've done it. Okay, on to the Isle of Man. Missy, I'm having fun.
I know. I'm having fun too. We'll go back to crop circles. But
the point is okay. Yeah. Okay.
Weird, I feel when I remote view, there's some kind of artifacts there. That there's something extra going on in the Isle of Man. Yeah. I feel.
Well, but before I distract myself again, I used to fly for 6 months. The BBC flew me from Northern Ireland, where I lived, and they flew me to BBC Special Projects in London. So I worked for BBC Special Projects for 6 months. And I'm speaking at the Awake and Aware conference this weekend. Crikey. I better do something about that.
Julia's going to be there.
Yeah. Whoa. So I'm flying there once a week. I'm flying over the Isle of Man because that's the way, from Northern Ireland to London, you fly over the Isle of Man and back twice a week, to and from, for 6 months. And I noticed that when I've got roughly in the Isle of Man area, because you're not flying that high, 30,000 feet or whatever it is, you've got a pretty good idea where you are. And I noticed that the aircraft suddenly would stretch, really stretch long, elastically, just whoosh really long. And then it would stretch back. And then I noticed this every single time, so I was waiting for it. And that something is really odd. Now, you see, the point about the Isle of Man, it's just off the coast of Liverpool or Fleetwood, Blackpool, where Julie used to live. And she identified a base in the area that she was. We don't want to get too detailed. And then just the bay after she lived where she was, the next thing is you have the Lake District. Now, the Lake District is a very, very mountainous, volcanic area of old mountains and volcano stuff. And that is full of bases. And we know, I got intelligence, I was briefed on this, that there is a very large pocket dimension with these massive arachnids deep underground. Okay? That's very good. You're doing a very good job. I love the hat. You love great and the glasses and everything.
Thank you. You know what? I've been doing this before Sean Bond. I think I've been wearing nothing to do with him being wizardly. I mean, I do this anyway. And witches' hats. I collect witches' hats.
Wow. Now you can listen. You can talk to me because nobody's listening, right? Does Sean wear a wig? Is that all a wig? Because I had 8 cameras. I had 7 cameras at my conference, and he's on stage. Whoa. He's on stage, and I couldn't get a single shot, or with any cameras, movable cameras, to actually see his face. It's all just shrouded. Now, I have one of his skull things here, but I have it in protective custody so it doesn't get broken. Will not go to it. So there is definitely a big fat ET base in Carlingford Lough and the Lake District. And the Carlingford Lough is in the Irish side, and you've got England in the Lake District, and going over the Isle of Man, definitely. And then you go into a different energy field when you go into Northern Ireland. The joke is that when you fly into Northern Ireland or Ireland, you turn your clock back 40 years. You adjust your watch. I have it somewhere. I put it safe somewhere. What happened was that Sean, when Sean always she's going to keep the skull. Oh, Anchor Haven's going to keep the skull. Whoa. Because I have to bring all this stuff. Basically, you've got a bunch of people come to the United Kingdom in a thing called a car. I'm going to say quite frankly that those are obviously models. He's not finding real skulls. Those are obviously resin type models, but that doesn't mean they don't have power and they don't have some kind of connection with things. That would be a mistake on that behalf. So the point is that, there's definitely an area in the Irish Sea where you talked about the Isle of Man, and the Isle of Man has got its own whole story, and the triple legs, the 3-legged logo. Now that is shared with a number of other cultures, and those other cultures, like the Red Hand of Ulster, are all part of the ancient multiple secrets of these islands, because this is where there's a lot of evidence where the the megalithic structures are all misaligned after the pole shifts.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
If you realign them, they form a much more coherent grid. And also, if you go to the original names of the locations, a lot of ancient history subtly works up, and that particularly up in Scotland. Because remember, I think there were 2 clearances of Scotland. They just got rid of everybody. And so, and also, this is the Tartarian thing in the 1800s.
And a lot of the Vikings settled in Scotland too.
Yeah, but that was after. That was after the clearances. Now, the only reason we had the Vikings was we got a really good book on all this. I wish.
I have mostly German and Norwegian, but I'm also Scot, Irish, and British. Oh, yeah.
My friend Jane, the beautiful Jane, she sent me this, and apparently I've got a connection with all that stuff. So, well, I do have a connection. I'm sort of, if you kept me with a beard on and red hair and all that, you'd run for your life, I tell you. I wish I could find out where that skull is. I've put it some. It's looking at me.
Gotta get it. You guys put your questions for Miles in the chat. I want to say hi to everybody. Skyola, Julia, Gina, Wizard Whitkiss, Kat was in the chat. I'll go look on my phone because sometimes it's easier for me to see it here.
Missy, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Well, I did that thing with the 2001: A Space Odyssey thing. I'm gonna do the same. Are you prepared for this, Missy Hill?
Yes.
Are you prepared for this? So you've got to get the music in the background, and then it's going to come up, just coming up. There it is. There it is, just coming up. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, what a beauty. Oh, my God, that is so cool. Wow.
Now, this weighs a bloody ton, for Christ's sake. For God's sake, don't drop it, Miles.
Okay.
We can blame it on Julie. So there it is.
Those elongated
Just imagine
skulls.
Another Joel coming out of that.
Those elongated skulls, okay, that they found Paracas, Peru, and I've even heard at Catalina Island off the coast of Los Angeles, California, city of fallen angels, if you will, has those elongated skulls. And we did a remote view there, and we were kind of seeing all kinds of weirdness and a connection between what's going on with the Isle of Man and there. So that's the Pacific. In the Pacific, you have similar things going on that are different to what's going on in the Atlantic.
That's all very important stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can be serious here. The other thing we did have a wonderful conference here this last weekend, only a couple of days ago. And it was the Crop Circle Visitor Exhibition, and it was a fantastic festival of crop circles.
Yes.
And this is a whole new beginning, and there is a magnificent upstairs. Remember, we're talking about buildings which are about 300 years old, and upstairs you have this magnificent whole history of the crop circles. And I know people who are very into patterning and 5th and 6th and 7th dimensional mathematics. They saw structures and patterns because these are such high quality photographs if you could see that, each one of those panels is about 6 foot or 2 meters high. There's a magnificent whole exhibition there, and it's done by this wonderful lady from Holland called Monique Klinterberger, And I mean, these are again some of the ones which have just turned up. I mean, we've had a lot of stuff even in the last couple of days of these crop circles, and people have to get out of this idea that because people make them, it doesn't matter. It does. People, by focusing on how they're made, you're completely missing the whole point. It's the pattern, and how they're made is irrelevant. This idea that you've got to have an alien spacecraft with a cookie cutter landing on it, or your balls of light. The whole place is full of balls of light.
Well, this is another question, Dad, that instead of how they're made, why they're made, and why there. Why that area?
Because it's full of interdimensional aliens. Now, one of the both Monique's conference and my conference were we were meant to have at my conference two of the team. There's a whole team of people. Now, this was written up by the Birmingham UFO group. This is really important stuff. This idea that these aliens come in flying saucers and spaceships from Alpha Centauri and across the thing is absolute rubbish. And this disclosure thing that the CIA is pushing on us, that this technology and all this, it's all crap. It really is crap. There are craft, they're all flying around. People get pictures of them and good pictures, and they do have this or that. But a lot of these people, a lot of these beings come through a portal. One of the first known ET issues was during World War II, up in Gateshead, I think it was. It's called the Gateshead Greys. This is during World War II, and you got a bunch of Greys come through a portal in a street in Gateshead, and they join the crowd looking at the American GIs coming in. Big thrill. Everybody's looking at the Americans coming in for the invasion, and going to the northern cities and towns to first, get acquainted and do the build up for the invasion. And you get all these Greys there, but they didn't land in a flying saucer. They came in through a portal. But when the portal collapsed, there was one ET left behind, and there's a whole story on that. And that was all catalogued and researched by a very important researcher whose name escapes me. Oh God, he was.
Yeah, I don't believe in light years either. I feel it's interdimensional.
It's interdimensional. So the point is that there were going to be people here at my conference talking about them doing 10 years research into interdimensional ETs. Again, we're using the term ET. It's the wrong term, but this was all happening in the Aveby area. It was happening beside Silbury Hill. It was happening near West Kent at Longbarrow. It was happening in the Aveby area. And it was, the whole Yatesbury Field area, that area is got full of bases underneath now. And at my conference, we went on an ET-based tour, and I wanted to hear how people were perceiving things and what kind of reaction they were having. And when you drive down the roads at the Vale of Pewsey, where these crop circles happen, there's a huge underground base area, 22, 23 stories. And it's known for having multiple ET arrivals and meetings and things underground there. People have explained in the past, people like Wynne Keach have explained how synthetic reality is used to mask, what's actually there. And you can tell, if you're really astute and know what you're looking for, where the real reality joins the projected or fake reality. And this is happening all over where these bases are. They don't have guard posts and barbed wire. They just have trees or fields. And I mean, a new base was built down in Southwest Ireland, and the trucks went through the town. They were building this for ages, so the building trucks did, and all what happened. And I mean, one of the best ways to keep a secret is to publish it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So they published these pictures in Ireland, Southwest Ireland, and they were building this base, and it meant that the base was down a little windy road. Have you ever been to Ireland?
Southern Ireland.
Yeah. Well, you'll know what I mean by the little windy road then.
Oh yeah, the road where you're driving on the left side of the road, which we're not used to, and the trees are hitting the car. Luckily, it's a rental car because I'm sure they have to get painted regularly.
Well, no,
It's
that's
like
only no, hold on here. That's only irresponsible, stupid Americans who do things like that. The average Irish driver is a highly precise driving and careful, patient person. They never wave your fist at you and scream at you saying fucking fuck. That never happens, Missy Hill. But the point is, be quiet.
On the left side of the road, and I thought the trees needed to be trimmed back a little bit because the trees are over the road. The roads are very narrow, and they're hitting the.
Oh Jesus! You haven't been to Cornwall. You haven't been. You don't know what you're talking about, there, woman. God Almighty, woman. God, catch yourself on. Pull yourself together. So the point is, after they built the base, right? Everybody knew the base was there. They were all building it. There's trucks and building all that stuff. That all left, right? And you just drove down the windy road, and then one day you would walk down the windy road, and all you've got is nothing, just fields. There's nothing there. And then you can see where the traffic, the wheels of the worn going down that little windy road where you were probably on the side of the road with the thing on fire because you don't know what you're doing. And then
in Cork. This was in Cork.
Yeah, a core. But you saw the tracks from the building things just stop. And then it just goes into an area where there's nothing happening. But if you happen to be wandering around there, suddenly somebody will appear out of nowhere and they'll maybe ask you a couple of questions. This happens here. Everything's covered. They're in pocket dimensions. It's just the lovely fields of Wiltshire. But you'll find that if you walk into certain places or happen to stop your car to maybe eat a sandwich or something, suddenly you have the dog walker from nowhere. And if you're really lucky, you'll have the second dog walker from nowhere. And they're wearing these funny watch type things, and that's what they control the gate with. And then they'll just disappear.
Wow.
So that's how the cookie crumbles. Are you drinking a nice mix of Black Bush there?
No, what I'm having, it's actually an electrolyte drink. Probably pretty boring.
God. An electrolyte drink. Does that mean you get batteries and put it in your water?
No, it means it's got Celtic salt. It has lemon, and it has some kind of electrolyte stuff that you squirt in, and you mix it with water and ice just because it's been hot here.
Well,
I heard it's actually hot where you are too. I mean, this global.
Well, actually, since we've started this, the temperature's gone below 30 Celsius. I've got my leg wrapped around something here. Everything's going to go belly up. I've got the outside temperature is 27.4 degrees Celsius. So how do we equate that?
It's hot for what I picture that area should be. I'm feeling like Mists of Avalon, where it's nice and cool and misty. And
well, we had this cool dude called Draco Reed. Hell, I'm Draco Reed, and I was having a hard time. I was giving him a hard time, right? I'm giving him. Well,
he lives in Florida. That's really hot and muggy there. That's
Well, I was giving him a hard time, and I was trying to give him all those jokes about the colonials and all that, and none of it worked. And then he said he'd been here 5 times before, and he's just been to Ireland. I think he's just gone to Hawaii. I mean, God bless the man. He must be suffering from 3 types of jet lag. You go to Ireland last week, and then he's in this conference in Hawaii.
If anybody's got jet lag, it's Laura Eisenhower. She says she's traveled more this year than she has most years.
Well, that's because I wanted her over because of her father. Yes. If not her father, great grandfather.
Yeah.
You see, where I come from in Lurgan, which is in Northern Ireland, and it's a town west of Belfast, but it has it was used as the initial stages for planning the invasion, because it was far away from the bombers, and also it was able to use a few little bits of backdoor thing, because the Republic, at that time, it wasn't a republic. The Ireland was the Free State, and it had a neutral status. But at that time, the ports in Ireland, like Cork and other ones, were still technically available to the Royal Navy. So there were a number of, shall we say, gray areas, and we're not talking about alien grays. So my understanding is that Eisenhower stayed in the we don't have castles in Ireland. There are some Norman castles, old, but we have big houses with castlettes, if you see what I mean. So we had a house like that. In England, they'd be probably called manor houses. Now, the key to a lot of this is that the manor houses have underground tunnel access, and they have, shall we say, dodgy connections with off-world people or whatever. So that's hidden in plain sight. Again, a lot of this stuff is hidden in plain sight. So we hope to have John Whitberg over here, and he's going to go down.
Oh, before Julia leaves, what talk are you doing at Carrie Cassidy's Awake and Aware conference?
I'm going to be talking about how the manor houses are basically used to interface with the countryside, and that's where the business of the infrastructure of control is. It's completely widespread in plain sight, the whole alien presence. And we have a very, very serious problem now where they're wanting to, I'm sorry to get all, they want to have a massive cull, which is why they're trying to get this war with Russia. If Russia can lob their bombs over to Europe, and Europe can lob their bombs over to Russia, that's going to kill a huge number of people. And that's what they want. And the laws that they're bringing in this country, and the degree of surveillance is to lock us down to 15-minute cities, because this is all a construct from the Austro-Hungarian, or what we would call the doom cult from Venice. The Venetian doom cult infested all these royal families and controlling elites. And they only want 15 million people left in England.
Wow.
So that means they want to kill at least 70 million people here in the next few years, one way or another.
They want to do that in America too.
Yeah,
they want to, because worldwide agenda.
They don't need 95% of us. And that's what the data centers are, and that's what all that is for, is to put an infrastructure in of control for the cyborgs. And that's what they need driverless cars for. So these cyborgs can be driven around in what remains of an abandoned and zero carbon life. They want zero organic life. That's what they want.
I agree with that. Yep. Julie said, did you mention John Whitberg? I don't know if I heard you say that, but he mentioned Drago, Julia, your brother.
Yeah, well, I was only mentioned Drago because he was there for the first conference, but he's been a very busy man, and he's had a few things, and I was over to see. There was talk that he was in trouble, so I put a shout out that just to protect him and to help him make sure that we're looking at him, and we're looking over his shoulder. So if anybody had any ideas, they would think twice. We've got to make it very clear to these things, these creatures, they're not going to get away with it. We're going to give them a good kicking, and they've got to know that in Belfast we have a phrase, and it's very simple: "We know where you live." Just whisper that in your ear. We know where you live. So that's to just gently inform people that you can run away, but we know where you live.
That's right.
And,
They know everything.
and
They're tracked
you
on
can put your
every
head
level.
down no matter whether you're in whatever that these creatures are, whatever they are, in whatever dimension. And Beverly was talking about this sort of stuff. Even if you go to you can track things to different universes. We know where you live. We'll find you.
Yeah.
And we want to make it absolutely clear. You can do what the hell you're going to do here, but we're going to find you. Something is going to find you, and they're going to give you a kicking. So that's just to let them know. You think you can do something here? You think you can kill us all? We'll find you. That's it. And I think that's enough for now.
Yeah.
Now the only other thing you've got to notice here is that I'm wearing a barge T-shirt. I'm going to show this manly chest of mine, the barge in. Now, because this was the first T-shirt that they made at the barge, I have infinite drinking rights at the Barge Inn in Honey Street. Now, that's what the boss said. I think 3 years ago. However, it's not written down in any kind of parchment or secret encrypted, multidimensional, stone artifacts in a different dimension anywhere. So I found out that if I go there and now, despite wearing this T-shirt, they still require me to pay for a pint of beer. And I think that's dreadfully unfair. I've been trying to find somebody to give me therapy on this. I could cry in the corner but that man said I could have beer for life.
I heard that was quite the pub that you all went to regularly. Looked really delightful. I know in Ireland, the pubs had the best food.
Actually, that's a relatively recent phenomenon.
I know that. I've heard that it used to be horrible years ago.
Well, I had an American girlfriend type woman, and she was blonde, blue-eyed, and nice lady. But she was into these things called salads and vegetables, weird things. But this is weird. So we were in this place in Donegal, and this is when somebody will arrive and they're 3 times bigger than a lambeg drum, big chest out like this here, wobbling down like this, looking at you sideways, and my friend Alice, she was from Palm Springs. She used to spend time over here because in Palm Springs it was like 120,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Miserable. Yeah.
So she came and stayed here to sort of enjoy the Irish misty rain, So she asked for these things. Now you would get peas. You would get peas, right? And you would also get carrots, but they'd be boiled and boiled. They're going to put a turkey on or a leg of lamb on. That goes in and it stays in the oven for like 3 or 4 hours. The vegetables go on first. So by the time you get the rest of the food, or the chicken or the turkey or the pork or whatever it is, the vegetables have all been go on for about 3 days, So any idea of any nutritional content in a vegetable in any restaurant in Ireland, we don't have that here.
But Guinness bread is what I was in love with. Was Guinness bread and Irish coffee with Jameson.
Guinness bread?
Oh my God! It is.
I've never heard of Guinness bread in my life until now.
It was delicious.
Are you talking about soda bread?
No, this was Guinness bread. It was dark and moist, not like an Irish soda bread.
So you know about a soda bread?
Yeah, I've made it. I've made soda bread. I've made Guinness bread. But my big thing is sourdough bread. I make sourdough.
Oh yeah. That's what we got here. We've got
like having a baby. I mean, you have to stretch and fold, and you have to coddle it. And
that's it. Yes. But that's the right stuff. All the stuff the reason why people want gluten free is not because of the gluten. It's because in order to make the bread cook or rise quicker, they put all these other chemicals in.
Glyphosate is the problem.
They put all that other
The
stuff in.
glyphosate, the Roundup, the Agent Orange, and all that crap that was on the soil. You don't have that problem in European.
We
countries.
do. You'd like to see what they're spraying, what's around here. This is why some people really got to be careful when you go into the fields. If they've just been spraying, you do not walk.
You have chemtrails there too, not just.
Yeah, we had a whole dose there the other day. We have better chemtrails than your chemtrails.
When we went to Ireland, we loved it so much. We loved the breakfast. So if you ate a decent breakfast, you didn't really need to eat anything until dinner. And then, of course, they take. Well, no, that wasn't in Ireland. I'll tell you, in France and Spain, they take naps at weird times, and their restaurants open late. I mean, you can't go get food in the middle of the day. You can only get.
That's because they have hot summers, and that's why we have the phrase. There's a phrase: only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun. Everybody else just chills out. They open early, close about 11 o'clock, and then they open again about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if at all, and they'll stay open till maybe 9 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah,
when I was doing I was doing a lot of in the studio work here. The beautiful Maria Wheatley. We had a really good time. We shot a whole new series that she's written called "Women Written Out of History." Do you know Maria Wheatley?
Yes. I don't know her. I know of her. Here's a.
I had to rent Speedos in Scotland. I refused to get out of the pool.
They also made you wear bathing caps. In America, we don't wear bathing caps.
Where did they get you to wear a bathing cap? Was this women with long hair or something?
No, everybody had to wear it. At whatever hotels we were staying, it was the Red Cow was one of them.
I haven't seen people wear a bathing cap.
The Radisson Blue, that was a nice hotel. The Radisson Blue. Oh, by the way, I did not kiss the Blarney Stone. I did not do it. I thought,
well,
disgusting. All these people, there's spit there. Nope, not doing it.
No, Missy. I didn't kiss it either, because that's the whole point. When somebody speaks a load of blarney, it's bullshit. So the whole kiss the Blarney Stone is bullshit. It's a load of bullshit. So you saw the joke.
Yeah.
And you're queued along the edge of this road, the edge of these castleettes, and if you're slightly a bit dizzy or whatever it is, you fall over the castle and die a miserable slow death. Yeah. So you actually got to Blarney and you worked that out. Well done, Missy Hill. Now everybody's got to. That's the whole point of the joke. It's Blarney. It's bullshit. You don't kiss it. That's the whole point. Well done. You're way ahead of everybody. You're the only other person I know in the world. You're the only other person in the whole wide world who knows about not kissing the Blarney Stone. Nobody else has ever done that before until this moment now. God help us all.
So how long? About some stuff on Typical Skeptic and brought up Nick Pope and his father, and I'd like to hear some of those pieces again and how it ties into some of the other stuff that we've talked about, because I think it does. Because I remember Nick Pope from Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, who I met because I'm good friends with Joshua P. Warren, who's a regular on Coast to Coast. And actually, I never met Art Bell, but I met Art Bell's alien named Carville that was gifted him from Rush Limbaugh that looked like James Carville. I know that's a lot to take in, but Carville was coming alive at night, and Art Bell actually had to get rid of him because his wife and child were afraid of this statuesque alien.
Oh, the old statuesque alien problem at night. God. You people have a hard life. You people have no idea. I had a 6 foot 3 beautiful black teak pussycat, and she had a golden haired hemp hair. And I swear, in the middle of the night, she'd get up and walk around. And I never heard her purring though. But anyway, no, right. Nick Pope. Now,
So we lost this year. It was earlier this year. We lost.
We've lost a lot of people, and we've lost Dusky Edwards. She did a whole lot of research.
That's recent.
And we lost, I think, an MP that's just been murdered, bludgeoned 21 times with a hammer. That's a political assassination, and that's anyway. Let's not talk about that. Are you still talking?
Me?
Did you say something?
Can I?
I think I've just switched this off.
Ground control to Major.
It's come back on.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah, I've got this massive box here. Pro Power Play Pro XL 4-channel headphone distribution amplifier module HA4700. That's what I've got here. I've got lots of knobs and buttons on it. I don't know what it does. Anyway, the point is, Nick Pope. I think this story comes from. I think it's switched off again, has it?
This is Major Tom to ground control.
It should be
Bang Bang Maxwell Silver Hammer. That's the Beatles. The Beatles.
The Beatles. Bang Bang. Yes. Okay. What happened was, I think there's a guy called Professor Simon, who's he used to work in Discovery Networks in production, and he, I think, I keep on thinking this has gone dead. Has this gone dead again? I think I'm just going to have to go to auxiliaries.
Here's a question.
Okay, I've got you, but this is
the BBC ever. Wait.
No. Let's finish.
Okay.
This thing about Nick Pope. Unfortunately, this is really low level sound. I don't know what the hell's going on here. The point about, you can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can
the point about Nick Pope was there's a lot of questions about Nick Pope. Say something. Hello. God, is this still? Oh, God. Maybe this is just dying. I don't know. Oh, bloody hell. It's funny that once we talk about Nick Pope, let's hope for this. Okay, the point is that there's a guy on YouTube called Professor Simon, and I think he came up with this story. Nick Pope's father was in the program, and he was involved with something with the MOD, and that is why it seems Nick Pope was given access to certain areas. Now, there's a photograph of Nick Pope in his office. Now, I was talking to somebody who was in the ministry. They understand what those, in other words, the government will buy a particular type of thing, right? And that will be a government contract. So the types of stackable automatic shelves that they would have, which would be lockable, so that be locked at night in the office, whatever, or when nobody had access to them. Nick Pope was photographed opposite a whole bank of these shelves, right? Now, that meant that he was in a Ministry of Defense area where there were no photographs allowed. So the point is, how was the photograph taken? And that's a question. That means that somebody was given high-level clearance to photograph Nick in that area to show that he worked in the Ministry of Defense in the MOD, right? Now, there's two problems with that. A, you're not meant to take photographs. B, if they have taken a photograph, he must have been in some kind of special operation of some kind, and that was his forever job of talking about UFOs to general public, which is why he was then flown over to the United States, and immediately taken to Las Vegas, where he married this nice lady, and they got. I mean, it's a joke. You get going to get married in Las Vegas. That gave him citizenship. And all that. So there's a whole pile of high-level connections there, allowing the other English guy that was brought over to the United States was Nick Redfern.
Right. Yeah. And then I'll say this about Nick Pope. Las Vegas, he's also close to Rachel, Nevada, Area 51, Nellis Air Force Base, and these other places. So,
that's Nick Redfern?
No, Nick Pope.
Yeah, well, yeah, so the point is that that's when you have too many special things all lining up. So he's then the token Brit, who was then brought over to do what he was doing, as talk the party line. Now there was another Brit that they brought over, a guy called they killed him. They actually assassinated him. He was called, oh bloody hell, he was English, and he did a brilliant film called the name's on the tip of my tongue. He did a brilliant film called Street Eyes, and he's called Marshall or something. I'm not good with bloody names, but the point is, he told me that there was a secret group called the Temple of Set after the assassination of Max Spears. Now we know about Michael Aquino being no, it's not. It's not. That's the point. Michael Aquino was not involved with it. Michael Aquino was U.S. Air Force Special Operations.
No, he's at the Temple of Set, though. I thought.
What? No, but that's not. It's a bit like saying I'm in the Church of England. Okay. There's churches in England all over the place. The point is, this was a different Temple of Set group and their job was to bump me off after blowing the whistle on Max Spears being assassinated. Now, Max was taken. One of the things which happened here, and I don't have the book, is that the British were already training their soldiers way back in the 1950s, one step beyond death. And this guy's book, John Irwin, was published One Step Beyond the 16. The 16 pause. The 16 was the secret numbered operational group, special operations that they worked in 4 groups of 4. One step beyond meant that they were taken one step beyond death, trained in certain special training, and then they had to bring you back to a living. You have to bring you out of the body, train the body so the body's reflexes worked, and then they brought you back in so you could use the body. So the point about this is that with Max, they had given him certain venoms and certain toxins to trick him into leaving his body, i.e. dying, and then they worked on his body to find out what he'd been trained with, and then they wanted to alter that training or gain access to the information that they wanted to extract from him, which they did, and then they brought him back. The problem was that they didn't bring him back properly, which is why for the next 3 or 4 days, he was walking around in an increasingly necrofying body. They didn't switch it on properly. Wow. Now, the clue to this is when they bring you back, the next video that you see of Max was him bouncing on a trampoline. Now, the point, that's another dead giveaway that they didn't know how to bring you back from death properly. That's a giveaway, right? Because the way to do that is you jumping up and down on a trampoline. The body is moving around and it's signaling that it's hello, it's alive, and that's how they got him to work properly. But it didn't work. So that's where the black stuff was coming out of him. It wasn't black goo or whatever it was.
Black goo, right.
No, he wasn't. It wasn't black goo. It was him with decaying blood, and he was vomiting this stuff out because he was literally dead inside, and he was beginning to fall apart. Which is why when he died for the second time, and he was on Monica Duval's couch or whatever it is, settee. When he died, very quickly, black patches appeared over the top of both eyes. And that's when he left, because the body was not going to work anymore, and it was dead then. And this is one of the problems that they found with the interdimensional gates. And one of the people who suffered from this problem was a British UFO guy called Mike Oram. And he lived up in the Lake District. And he was told by the aliens, look, you either come with us now, or you stay behind and you will eventually die. And what you die from is peripheral nephropathy. I wish I could say it properly. Because when you do the jump gates, because they don't do them properly, you literally die and then are brought back in the jump gates. So if that process is incomplete, or only 99.9% complete, by the time you've done maybe 200 jumps, you've got too much tissue damage, and then you're going to die. And that's what happened to Mike Oram. He eventually started to get very ill, and he was in hospital last year, and I think he passed away. But the trouble is that they know what's happening. There's nothing you can do about it. You've died too many times. And that is because John Irwin, who's going to be speaking at this conference, hopefully, in the final mission that they had in Jarraba, and Dr. Amir is familiar with the term Jarraba. It's a location near Jordan, Syria, and what then became Israel, and all those borders have shifted so much. But I think Dr. Amir mentioned, those are, now I stand to be corrected on this. He said Jarraba was an Anunnaki base. There were a lot of those bases in the Middle East. And this goes way back to, the start of humanity, and, the whole story of Adam, the so-called Adam and Eve stuff, where, all that stuff. And there's a guy called Edmund Marriage. Again, he's died. He's long passed on. He did a whole lot of work on. It's called the Shining Ones, and there was an Irish couple that spent a long time in the valley, in the Lebanon Rift Valley area, where a lot of this first creation of the current version of humanity happened. And that's where you get the White House, the glowing White House, and the energy, and all sorts of stuff like that. And Edmund Marriage was responsible for having those books about the research done in that area. And we're going too deep here, but the point about it.
Where are some of these jump gates? Can you say that?
Well, the jump gates are all over the place.
I know
The point is that when John Irwin's team, and he was the junior member, there's a whole pile of these there were 3 teams went in. There were 3 attack teams and 1 extraction team. They all worked in groups of 4. They went in, and it's on his book, and we sold a whole bunch of those at the conference, and it's one step beyond the 16. And hopefully we're going to have his books available. This is the first time in 10 years these books have become available. The point is that as John Irwin's team went in, there are 2 flying saucers take off from the desert. This is 1959. And these are alien or Anunnaki craft or Nephilim. I'm using terms which are not interchangeable, and they may be incorrect, but this is those who made us, right? And
right.
And what they want to do now is they want to clean out the petri dish. This is what John Irwin was called.
Dumb this down to the 2.5 stranded DNA or whatever we are, instead of being in light bodies. Now, one thing I want to ask about Max Spears, because some people have said that he actually had a drug problem.
He did. He had all that. What
Okay.
they've used is they've whitewashed this, that because he got drunk and had drugs, that's why the whole thing happened. This is covering up, and the BBC are intricately involved in this. I cooperated with the BBC. I was on the program, and we filmed some of it here. The BBC, this hit a major intelligence issue in the newspapers. There's no question about this. This was in the Daily Telegraph, the Daily Mail. It hit Radio 4. I was actually invited by the BBC to say what the hell happened. They didn't edit anything I said. I was on the prime time talk radio network, Radio 4, and I talked about Max, and I talked about the technicalities of going one step beyond, and I explained that he died for his country, and he was brave. He knew he was going to die, and he was operating on Christine Joanna Hart who's put some very nasty curses. We understand on Bob Osborne. These people mess about with black magic. We're not messing about here. So the point is that Max. One of the keys to this is that the Daily Telegraph published Max the date of Max's death. It was wrong. What they published was Michael Aquino's birthday.
Oh,
okay. So that was code. You see, when things are said in newspapers, they will get things wrong. No, they haven't. They're telling you something to look this up and connect these dots, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and of course, Christine Joanna Hart gave me Michael Aquino's phone number, and I did 4 hours of interviews with him on audio, just on the phone. And it was interesting. So that's all available on basistv.com, and there's a hell of a lot that still isn't available. And trying to get that website populated is I do need a little bit of help. If people want to subscribe, it's only $3 or $4 a month, whatever it is, if you want to get access to all that. But the point is that linked a lot of things, and that was a German asset. And we know that Stuart Sverdlow was involved because there's a photograph of him with Max and Monica. Monica was a German asset. She was going to publish an awful lot of because people don't realize I was at both conferences. People don't realize I stood on the same stage as Max at that conference with all those Intel people, and they put me up on the luxury suite of the Hilton Hotel to get me out of the way. There was another British intelligence asset there called Kieran Lee Perrin, and he was mucking around with the European UFO, the European Committee Against Covert Harassment, UCASH. And the blonde lady who was part organizer of that conference, who was representing Stuart Sverdlow, got hitched with this guy, I think Lars Olsen, I think, and he was head of the committee, the European Committee Against Covert Harassment. And there's a lot of assets there, a lot of agency stuff, and Sverdlow.
That's Montauk. I'm thinking of Montauk.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about Montauk. We're talking about the death of Max Spears. Yeah. Stuart Sverdlow made some comments. I'm putting this on the record here. Stuart Sverdlow made some comments the night that Max died for the second time. I'd sold out at Kerry Cassidy's conference in East London at the Passing Clouds Arts Centre, which was an asset. It was shall we say, a restricted agency hub. And I got the word Max is dead. So I'd sold all those books for John Irwin, and I needed to go back to Wiltshire, where I am here. And that is when they were trying to resuscitate Max for the second time. So they were having a certain number of people with certain talents who knew how to resuscitate, bring him back. Started to work. He died at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 10 o'clock that night they were trying to resuscitate him again, which was and Stuart Sverdlow put a message on his website saying there's a British researcher who is of the opinion that they're going to try and resuscitate Max. which is not going to happen. I mean, that's what I reported. I did a fast blast from Paddington Station on this. But the point was that this meant that they knew that he died once. And then I had further information from certain quarters, what they poisoned him with, something like African death adder venom and scorpion venom. And that was those poisons were used on me later on by this Temple of Set. They tried to assassinate me on an airplane when I landed at Dublin Airport. And this guy who told me that, they killed him with 3 brain hemorrhages, one again, cancer in the brain. And he's not called Marshall. He did this bloody name. They killed him. They assassinated him with this really decent guy, British director, brought over to the United States, like Nick Pope. So even Simon Parkes knew about those poisons used to assassinate me, but they didn't work. There were old ladies on the plane. There was a makeup box, which I was tricked into taking both sides of, and that didn't work. And I went to a doctor about this. I started turning out like that guy in Star Wars with the red all over. And the doctor says, if it reaches your throat, there's nothing we can do about this. We've seen it before. But if it reaches your throat, you'd probably need to go to the hospital, i.e., there's nothing he could do, and he couldn't give a damn. So anyway, I'm still here. And that's the story of, it's not Marshall, it's, I don't know the name. But he was assassinated because he told me about this other Temple of Set. And my understanding is that they were furious that I'd worked out that they had tried to kill him. They wanted this all to be sort of, hush, hush, just got drugs, silly man, died, poo-poo, nothing happened. Which is why the BBC wanted to find out what's going on, which is why I cooperate with the BBC, knowing that the BBC is one of the most dangerous, sinister organizations on the planet. Don't you know? How's about that then? Do I convey myself here?
Absolutely. They're probably
Right,
they're as dangerous as all the big news media here in the United States.
Well, the bottom line is that they're never going to tell you about the alien presence, because they are the alien presence, and they are seeking to control and kill every single one of us.
That's right.
As John Lear said, as Simon Parkes said, way back in 2011 or 2010, they're going to clean out the Petri dish. Do you know what a Petri dish is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to clean it out. So it's up to us either to wake up and smell the coffee on this while they do it, and otherwise they're just going to do it, get away with it. The joke on this is that these creatures think it's not going to happen to them.
Well, you know, the Georgia Guidestones, which were in Elberton, Georgia, they said Ted Turner put them up. I don't know what's true around it, but a missile or something took them out because people wanted them out. I know I did some grid work.
Well, it wasn't a missile. It was clear somebody shot at them with a bazooka or some bloody thing.
Something. I don't know, but
then they were knocked down.
500 million. Maintain a population of 500 million.
Well, that would fit with them only wanting 15 million in Britain.
Yeah.
And they will live in absolute luxury. All the other lot will be wiped out. And the BBC used to sign off at night with a test pattern. The end of the listen. Americans don't understand that 24-hour TV only came into Great Britain relatively recently. We only had breakfast TV in 1984 or something. But for the majority of the day, the transmitters would be running with what they call a test card. And that was in the days when color TVs were made of valves and all that stuff. And having a test card was a very useful thing to have for adjusting the red, green, and blue on the TV tubes of these things, because they wouldn't start normal programs until maybe 5 o'clock. But increasingly, they would a lot of the technical use of color bars was what they used to have. But in the BBC, they had a number of test cards with a crisscross pattern, so you got the linearity of the picture correct, vertically and horizontally, and a round circle in the middle. And that meant that you got the picture aspect ratio correct. If you were having faults with the scan coils of the TVs, I used to fix TVs. I wasn't very good at fixing TVs, but that was what they were for. So the point was that when they went color, the woman that they used, the child that they used in the BBC test card, with the way it was set up, with the cross on it, and the BBC have a thing called Children in Need, and they have got a sort of a Cabbage Patch doll, and they have one eye with a cross on it. So this links in plain sight children being eaten and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's the connection there. Now I'm paraphrasing that a great deal, but the point is that all of this is inside knowledge with all these creatures as they live in their mansions and do whatever they do, eating babies. There was a brilliant. I was guided to a shop in one of the barber shops here in Wiltshire, and I walked in, and there was a calendar of album covers which had only ever sold 1,000. Right, and you had the Led Zeppelin one, you had whatever. And then you had one edition of a Beatles combination, which was only released in the United States of America, and it had the Beatles dressed in sort of white lab coats with bits of meat on them, like bacon or pork chops and stuff, and they were holding baby dolls, right? Naked baby dolls, and they were covered in blood and things, probably tomato sauce or something. But the Beatles were holding the separated skulls and looking at the camera. And that album cover, I took a picture of it, and that's the only way we got a picture. And Simon Parkes then remarked on that. But that was telling you in plain sight. And that should tell you all about the Beatles.
We don't hear much about Simon Parkes in the United States anymore. And also, is Paul dead or alive? That supposedly Paul McCartney was replaced. You remember?
Well, it's a bit okay, right? I'm going to a conference where last time I was there, Simon Parkes announced with he had a Kerry has the same people every year. I think it's something Americans do all the time. They always have the same speakers, except for a couple. I'm very, very honored to be asked to speak, and I have got to work on that pretty urgently. But the point was, Simon said last year he wasn't going to speak at it again because whatever reasons. So it's surprising that he's speaking there. That's his own business. Simon is his own man. He does his own things. Simon will say certain things. And he knew about the poisoning, the way I was poisoned on an Aer Lingus flight on the ground in Dublin, which means that he is valid in terms of an intelligent source. So what he's saying about being involved with the MI5, MI6 and having a background there is true, because he got that information completely separately. I survived it. I've survived a number of assassination attempts. With the cruise control and bolts taken, the castle nuts opened up on the steering column, so. And in fact, one of the people involved with the radio station that we had and who attended my conference, a wonderful woman called Karen Dodd, she's has organized a huge, well, no, she didn't physically do the organization. she came up with it's called these. It's a type of conference which independently organized themselves all across England after the lockdown stuff, right? So she ended up. This is last week. The nuts on one of her wheels had been screwed off. So she just felt something odd with the car, pulled into a gas station, and the wheel was only just still on the wheel, on the axle. So if she'd continued to drive, that car would have tumbled and caused death and whatever. So she's managed to dodge that bullet. So there's no known as the Butcher cover, originally appeared in 1966 album. Yeah, that's good. Yesterday, US album yesterday and today, right? Okay, but that's that's the Butcher cover, right? Well, there they are. So I would sometimes joke with some of the people that I would know, and this is, do you scoop the brains out with your fingers like prawns? You know, I mean, they have things here where you stick a pig in them with a rod through it, and you're roasted in the pig. To be perfectly blunt, that's long enough to put a person in. You know, I'm getting a bit of an idea. Maybe I might end up like that. You know, I've got lots of meat on me. You know, my arms. You know. Anyway, we're dealing with very not good people, and so where are we, Missy Hill?
We're in a petri dish. We're in the Matrix.
So so that's the crop circle thing. That was really nice. Monique Klinkerberger, and it's a lot of this is in Wiltshire, Honey Street Mill Village in the middle of Wiltshire. It's a really wonderful place to come to, and people should really visit that. It's a wonderful, happy. Let's try to end on a happy note.
Yeah, we have Alien Fest, but I want to ask you real quick though before we end. What are your thoughts on David Icke?
Way back in 2013. It was 2013 because, or 14, there was a TV station. David Icke is an enormously successful communicator. He has immense stamina to hold an audience all in his head for hours. He is a brilliant communicator. Okay. And he, see, one of the ways they communicate things in Britain and across different countries in the world is they will choose a suitable person local to that culture to communicate the message. So, for instance, when Burt Bacharach had all his fantastic songs, for instance, Dionne Warwick did a whole range of songs, and she's a beautiful, tall American black singer, right? However, in Britain, we hadn't had too much exposure to Tamla Motown. The only way we got into Tamla Motown was one DJ on Radio Caroline. Remember, in Britain only had the BBC until 1964. And then it took a radio ship called Radio Caroline to broadcast something different. And then we had a few other radio stations which had an alternative of commercial pop music during the day. We didn't have any. That was all controlled by the BBC. And this Labour government, who's just instructed all news sources only to use news that's been vetted by the BBC. All other news sources are banned in this country, and that means the Sky News and all, they can still stay on the air, but they have to do what the BBC tells them. We are in a dictatorship of the worst kind in this country. It's absolutely horrendous. I don't even know how long we will be able to do shows like this, having an opinion that hasn't been vetted by a governmental source run by Maitre Grays and GCHQ. Maitre Grays, and they knew exactly what was going to happen to a recent politician who was murdered by 25 smashed to her head, right, with a hammer. That's not on. There's going to be trouble on that. So the point is, where are we? The point about David Icke, right? So the point is that in order for Burt Bacharach's music to make it into the top 30, into the hit parade, they needed a British singer to do that. Now, we had a fantastic singer called Dusty Springfield, absolutely stunning blonde, fantastic song, voice, brilliant, homegrown talent, fantastic. And I think she did have a couple of Burt Bacharach songs. But the bottom line is, in order for Burt Bacharach's songs, which were really popular with a black American singer, what they needed was to have somebody who'd be British, work with the British ordinary everyday folk. So they came up with a lady called Cilla White, and she then, her stage name was Cilla Black. So then she was trained up to sing the Burt Bacharach songs. I'm not saying all of her songs are Burt Bacharach, but that's the way the cookie crumbles in England, right? Okay. So what was happening was that Jordan Maxwell, Anthony J. Hilda, and a number of other American information sources were publishing a hell of a lot of stuff on record. In those days, the late 80s and all that, people didn't do it on tape. They did it on quickly pressed records. So this was available as a source of information on all the Illuminati stuff, okay? So in order to get that to be properly filtered and talked about in this country, they needed to have a Cilla Black type person that would convey what was coming out of America, all this stuff, to convey it to an audience in this country, okay? So the way that things happened was the BBC had would have talent that had finished their sports career, and they would join the BBC sports team. And one of those people was a very handsome guy, a guy called David Icke. I don't think he was that good on air, really, but he was a sports guy, So what they needed was somebody to convey this information. And like a lot of these things, that person was chosen, and it was David Icke. So what they needed to do was to launch David Icke. I'm talking about the mechanics of how you get things done in this country, right? There's a way to do it, a number of ways to do it. And also they needed this information to be controlled in a way that people didn't get these albums and stuff coming from the States and learn about this information independently. They didn't like that, and they needed to catch I was going to the States. I was bringing stuff over from the International UFO Congress and all that sort of stuff. I would, wanted very rare. So what they needed to do now, the one way of doing it is you discredit this person, you take them and hang them out to dry. And we had a top-rated TV show called run by an Irish guy called Terry Wogan. Now, Terry Wogan was already the iconic, bit of a laugh here, Terry Wogan. He was their number one DJ in the breakfast, and they put him on TV, and he started having a really popular number one rated show at 7 o'clock. That's when you captured the audience with only two channels. Remember, you had BBC Two, and we had on ITV. That's three channels, but there are only effectively two popular channels: BBC and ITV. Commercial. ITV was commercial, right? So this is whatever hell it was, 91 or whatever. So the mechanism of doing this is that you take this person, fire him. This is what the BBC did with me. I was fired and disgraced and all this. You could say that, whatever, and I did pirate radio and all that sort of stuff. But this is the process they decided to do. It's a technique, and there's various spy movies which show this technique. In order to engage trust with the enemy, you get rid of somebody, you accuse them of the most horrendous crimes, and then they're hated and they're dismissed and they're thrown in the gutter, and that's it.
They did it to Alex Jones too.
Yeah, they did it to Alex Jones, although he's, well, whatever, it's another thing. Yeah. So the point is that you then have the face of British children in need. Terry Wogan. Terry Wogan is the front man for having this joke, this telethon. See, in America, you have telethons, and they adopted that format to get money for children in need. And Pudsey the bear, this child with one eye with the X in it, the same as the test card. You're seeing this. I can't explain all of this, but
I know. It's like this whole thing that they do.
On all this stuff, the one eye and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So the point is, and this is an argument, you can decide whether you want to take it or not. So David Icke was selected for being the spokesman on all this conspiracy stuff. Okay.
Right.
Now, there is a situation when I was in the People's Voice. I was one of the volunteers helping out the People's Voice. I did production and editing on a health show, and that was a brilliant new thing. I don't know, somebody just this'll bloody. Oh, shut up, bloody hell! You can't shut this bloody thing. Come on, bloody switch off.
Oh, I think the
point is that David Icke was launched by the BBC on primetime television by Terry Wogan, where he was hung out to dry. They completely destroyed his reputation. This is the modus operandi of putting somebody in the public domain for the purposes of controlling whatever he's saying.
Right.
Okay. Now, when I was in the People's Voice, for whatever reason, David Icke totally and absolutely refused to allow me to see him straight on. And that's a fact. Now, why he did that, I don't know, but that's a fact. So he had something to hide, right? Now, the bottom line is that he has been able to expose a huge number of people to all this information. He holds an audience. He stands up on stage, and he's a great orator, and he's able to get a huge amount of information. And this is where the jury's out. Are you communicating information once you've put this person on the stage? Is everything that he's saying what you want him to say? Or is everything he's saying what you don't want him to say? You've put this individual in play, and if his role, whatever his role is, if he's playing his role, and they disgrace him and ban him from halls and places like that, that's terrible. It's a double-edged sword here. Either he is or he isn't. Ultimately, he actually knows, and he's on a big stage with Danny Henderson's.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
conference,
and
that's in September. Danny Henderson's a brilliant person. She's doing a hell of a. She's up there. She's got a big bill to pay. It's a lot of money to put things on, speakers on at that level, and there's a lot of money to be lost. You don't make too much money with this stuff. The idea you make a profit out of this is lunacy.
Right. You hope to break even. Now I know you're going to be speaking at Carrie Cassidy's event, and she's on Rob's show, Typical Skeptic, a lot. And a lot of things she says, she brings up Juan O'Savin quite a bit and says he's JFK Jr. in a fat suit. I don't know what you think of that, or even if
listen, Carrie has her job to do. She does her stuff. We don't have to agree with everything everybody else says. And we have our different. But we all have our different demographics. The point is that I say don't believe anything, but you must not outsource your reasoning. You just listen.
Yeah, I'm not into this white hat. This is why I'm wearing a gray hat, because this whole white hat is going to save the day. No, these people are destroying America. America is being taken over with these data centers, I mean, there is no savior. This
Well, this is the whole point.
Savior.
This is the whole point. They expect this is the whole point about the truth movement. It's the whole point about the love and light community. Somebody else is going to save it.
It's bullshit.
The Christians are saying God's going to turn up. Jesus is going to come back. All of this is about somebody else doing it.
It's like
we have to. I'm going to end on this, right? You and I, the so-called people that watch these crazy shows, whatever, we cannot just simply switch off at the end. That's it for the time. We, in our own individual way, have to do our bit. And the one thing you do is don't talk about it on the bloody internet. Now, obviously, but this is what we're doing. We're having a conversation on the internet. So everything we're saying is in public play, GCHQ and the white hats, black hats, and the assholes or whatever are going to be listening and writing down, oh, he said this about that and this and that about this, right? It's down to individual people who walk the street and you try to keep your thoughts, to yourself. You've got to be careful. I'm in public domain. I've been in this since I've been knee-high to a grasshopper, right? So it's not as if I can sort of, I shouldn't have said this. Oh, I'm sorry, So
that's a disclaimer. This is all for educational and entertainment purposes only. That's what this is.
The following entertainment is for educational I think you did it. For entertainment purposes only. You're the funny person in the hat. I'm the funny person with the funny t-shirt. Whoa, this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll show you my shirt. I'm wearing Grateful Dead. Do you know them?
Now, if you sat properly on set, there's more of that shelf above you than there is of you, for God's sake, woman. This is when I have to give you a hard time.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving oh God, I was going to call you Wizard Wickus, right? The Robert Anton Wilson. Yeah, a lot of this stuff. About Playboy magazine, there was a brilliant magazine published by Penthouse Productions called Omni magazine. That had a lot of very good stuff. It was a very expensive magazine, very thick pages and published in the same way that Playboy would have been published. Big, thick magazine. A lot of very good articles about the Illuminati. Babylon 5, that series. So Missy Hill, if I were you, I'd go and buy all the back issues of Omni magazine and put them in your roof. So when a hurricane comes, it's not going to blow away. It's so heavy.
Yeah, we're the land of hurricanes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Even in Western North Carolina.
Western North Carolina. You got great names for your places. Western North Carolina.
Well, I say that as opposed to, because if you say North Carolina, the state, it doesn't all look the same. It's different topographically. Western North Carolina means the mountains, and it's also close to Eastern Tennessee, which demographically, the mountains and everything, it should be one.
Well, in Ireland, you can go around, you can be in the bogs of Ireland, the bogs of Ireland, the middle of Ireland, and you're driving your car on the right side of the road, which is the left side, okay?
Yes.
You Americans, you don't know what you're doing until you try.
It's the correct side. You can't say the right side. You have to say the
correct side of the road. Well, a lot of Europe does that. Continental Europe does that. If you go to Japan, they drive on the left side of the road. It's that's why we get all our cheap cars from Japan, because they sell anything after about 3 months or like 10,000, 30,000 miles, and you get a really good car cheap, and it's all fitted out. There's a couple of modifications you got to do. I've got a Toyota Supra, which was a Japanese import.
But if you go to the Bahamas, they drive on the left side of the road, but the steering wheel's still on the left side of the road. It's like,
Well, that's because they're importing American cars,
right,
but that's a British protectorate, part of the British Empire.
right.
Right. There's important reasons why you have the port side, because one side of the ship is where you dock, and the other side of the ship. That's why it's called the port side, which is the left side, I think.
Port side and the starboard side. Yeah, I like to do cruises. I think cruises are kind of a great place to do conferences, and I used to do them because I have these third generation night vision goggles. So I used to do UFO Skywatch.
Listen, Missy, right? Don't tell anybody. But if you just happen to put one of those in a brown jiffy bag and post them over to me, and just take the third iteration off, they'll look like Type 2s, right? And I'm sure those nice people in customs won't confiscate them.
Yeah,
I think we're only allowed to have Type 2 extended or whatever. Because what on earth would you want a night vision glasses for? There's nothing else to see apart from all those alien spacecraft and secret space program stuff. All that stuff that landed at Rendlesham Forest was all secret space program stuff. Anyway, that's another thing. I'll say good night. Are we okay or not?
This has been fun. I thank you so much for coming on to the program today, and I'd like to do it again. And I hope to get to that conference. I don't know. I got to do some research on.
Well, I think you might need. I don't know whether you need entry stuff, like you need a. I mean, we've always had to have a green form, or like I forget what they call it. It's there's the customs form and there's the entry form, and now you do it online. It's whatever the hell it is, and it lasts 2 years. You've always had to do that to the United States, but because of the special relationship, which I don't know what side of it it's on now, I think you need. Listen, I had to fill out a customs form posting something from England to Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland is now in this quasi zone where it's not in Europe, but it is. But
Yeah.
It's tough when you live in these countries,
Yeah.
Anyway, the main thing is have a good time. I mean, that's the thing on Ike, and Danny Henderson's got him, and she's got some really great people on. I forget the other guy's name. I keep on calling him. I forget. I don't know. I'm very bad with names, but it's a guy called Marshall.
When you say Marshall, I think of Marshall Masters, but it's not him.
No, it's he's done it. You see, the point is. See, I don't have any of the artwork here of all this. I've got to read it out in front of me. If I don't, I'm too busy. Danny's doing a hell of a good job. I was speaking to her this morning, quite a long time actually. The whole Elena Danand thing and all that. But you see, the point is, don't extend your beliefs to this. That's one of the tricks. It's a declaration. Or the customs is agreeing. No, we have to. Britain has to. There's another bloody form. It's called. It's online.
See, in a cruise, it doesn't, because you're entering from the United States and exiting from the United States. It works on a cruise to bring night vision, but I don't know about flying. And flying within the United States is fine.
Well, I'll tell you this. A very nice girl that was at Kerry Cassidy's conference. She went on a cruise. She landed in Spain and then joined the cruise in Spain. That went around the Mediterranean, and then that ship went back to Florida. I think a lot of people are beginning to start using cruise ships across the Atlantic.
Yeah,
and I mean they're making flying such a bloody nightmare. That,
exactly. The cruise is more delightful. I mean, I really want to go to Greenland on Carnival because I can go out of Baltimore and it goes through Canada, and then I can make just a fun trip out of it to go see the battlefields and DC again, because DC I haven't seen except the Chevy Chase version where you go round and round.
Excuse me, but I think those Chevy Chase movies were historical, physical documentaries of truth.
Especially what happened to Stonehenge, right?
Fortunately, I didn't see that, so I'm just going to pretend that I didn't hear that. The idea of an American doing anything, it's just abhorrent, abhorrent, unconscionably abhorrent. Right? You're looking great. You're fun. It's great.
Dam. What he did to Hoover Dam held it together with chewing gum.
Well, I mean, in Holland, we have the guy about he stopped the dike from draining, but he put his hand in the whatever hole. But
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Well, this has been fun, Miles.
Well, I hope it's. I've been talking very serious things here.
If you have anything else you want to share, as far as everybody knows, Basis TV. I guess how's the best way to get a hold of you?
Basis. My email is tmiles. I think it's. It's the old website, which is still hanging around up there, doesn't work. It hasn't worked for ages. So the Basis project doesn't work. So don't say anything to thebasisproject.org. I'm tmilesj@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always been tmilesj since the CompuServe days. You weren't born in those days. You don't even know what I'm talking about. CompuServe on a dial-up modem. Jesus Christ.
Well, I'll be on later tonight with Rob on Typical Skeptic at 8 o'clock, so you guys get ready for that. And then after that, a grid work mission, global grid work investigations with Chloe Ariel in Australia. And
well, that's important stuff.
Be looking at Area 51, Skinwalker Ranch, and make our way over to the Four Corners. And then tomorrow with Julia, and Friday with Dr. Amir. So,
well, those two British people are gonna give you a run for your money. Okay,
it'll be fun. Thank you so much.
That's me shifting accents about once every 30 seconds. And it's now getting dark here. It's now 9:05, and it's
wow.
We're entering into a little bit of darkness, and that's we've had a lot of weather warfare technology here at about 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, because the sun rises about 4 a.m. That's why when you're up this sort of latitude, we have an hour shift, because in the summertime it's not getting dark till 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And the sun rises at 4 o'clock roughly. But I've noticed that they've been using what we call scalar energetics radials, cloud radial technology, and that goes back to a guy called Tom Bearden. He did a whole lot of stuff on that in the 1980s and the 90s.
I remember that name.
Yeah, Tom Bearden. He was a brilliant man. I'd give him a phone call. I'd sit back, and about an hour later, he'd stop for a breath, And it's before you could record it. The information he gave out at those calls, transatlantic on a telephone.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but that's the kind of technology I think they're using to hold this weather pattern locked in, so we get this very continuous. It's never happened before to have weeks of cloudless skies, practically cloudless. Little bit will happen, but this is controlled. But we are in a Maunder minimum for 33 years. It's going to get colder. The nighttime temperatures here drop very, very deeply. And that's when crops grow and trees grow and stuff. But we're heading with a magnetic shift, the north and south poles are shifting very radically, because we're entering some kind of plasma energy field, which is causing those poles to move. And that's affecting the sun. And that's why we're 33 years. That's three solar cycles, and it's getting colder and colder and colder. I reckon we're going to really hit the money, feel the cold round about the middle of the next solar cycle. And that's because the magnetic field isn't there to protect the outer atmosphere. That gets more radiation. So the atmosphere then holds on to more water moisture. That produces more rain.
Right.
And when it gets colder, it's going to produce a lot of snow.
A lot of snow. Yeah, I remember that from the around Groundhog Day. I did a show on that whole solar minimum maximum. I can't even remember what it's called now, about why you have this Arctic something. It's this.
Yeah. Well, for us to have red auroras as far as the Canary Islands, that's a really serious warning.
I get a lot of pictures of these auroras. They speak to me. They kind of tell me, go photograph them, even when I'm in South Carolina, and I should not be seeing any kind of auroras there at all. Now, I do have to hit enhance on my, but I almost see them with my third eye, even though I don't see them. I know they're there. And then I just hit enhance on my phone when I take a picture, and it brings the colors out, and they're magenta and they're violet. And then this deep blue, like this deep royal blue.
That's deep blue is a big alarm bell.
Yeah.
So that's when we had the Carrington event. Something similar happened in the middle of the 1800s, and that appears to have had a massive effect on the electrical systems. And that's where the whole Tartarian thing happened. And that's, of course, when electricity was hijacked, and J.P. Morgan and the evil rigged the books, rigged the science on electrical science. The way we generate electricity is absolute madness.
Yeah, and Tesla stealing the technology, at least they say that. And there's a guy that in Western North Carolina, you probably know him or know of him, William Forstchen, who wrote 1 Second After, talks about you know, how to protect our grid.
Well, we shouldn't have a grid in the first place. We had an energetic transmission system, a highly evolved, complex civilization up until approximately about the mid-1850s. And something happened, and we've been drilled back into this nightmare, and they want to do it again.
Yeah.
They want to kill. They killed 3.3 billion people in the 1800s, and they want to do it again. And we have got to stop this, or they are going to kill us.
Yeah. They tried in 2020. I know that.
They tried in 2020, and that didn't work, but they're activating their plans, i.e. all these data centers, as if it has happened, which is why they're using all the water, because nobody should be around to complain.
Right. Yeah.
They only needed to inject all those people and to have them drop off for convenience.
That's right.
They don't need, they're going to continue what they're doing. And as I say, you don't publish your plans on the internet. Okay. Bye-bye.
But anyway, enjoy your night.
I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have cognitive, deep thoughts about what I'm going to speak about at Kerry Cassidy's conference on Saturday.
Oh. And say hi to Julia in the physical. She'll be there.
I'll say hi. She's brilliant. And I just made a decision. She's got such a commanding voice. You don't, Missy, you don't argue with Julia. You do what she says. Okay. Oh, yes, Julia, I really agree with everything you're saying. Yeah. Good. Good seeing you, and it's good fun. We need to have nice conversations like this.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And I think Sean Bond I think he's just got to change his hat style. I've seen him walking about with that hat, but now I know the original person wears the hat properly. And, I think Sean, he's a really cool dude, but and Draco's a cool dude. And apparently this thing in Hawaii is all. I think the wind blows too much and it's too humid. I don't know.
Hawaii is another place the weather has changed. They're not supposed to have humidity or mosquitoes, but they do now. So Even Sweden has mosquitoes. They never had mosquitoes. So
Well, the thing about that is that sort of thing happens. That's what happens in northern Scotland. You have these, in order, if you were in other societies, you were put in the chocks. Your head was locked down with your two hands, and people would throw things at you because you'd done a. Oh, did Miles talk about the road show? No, I hadn't. Okay, well, in Scotland or these other countries, what they would do is that they'd tie you naked to a fence post, and the flies and the midges would literally eat you alive, and it would take a long time. They literally would eat you. Anyway, we are thinking about doing an American road show. We're thinking of maybe starting off in Vancouver or Toronto. I used to live in Toronto. I call it Toronto.
oh, no.
That's TRA and 5 N's with an A. Toronto. And that was great. I love the FM radio there. I really loved it. And learned an awful lot about broadcasting over there. And so we're thinking about doing that, but we would need a ground crew. And also we need to make it something which would not, you shouldn't do something which is a not, but you already have your own conferences over there. We'd have to come up with something different that, oh my God, we've got to go to this show. So that's it. I've talked about the road show.
When you know more, talk about it again. So we can do this again before November. Like I said, I don't know. I would love to get over there, but it's a
look. It's only a bloody 8.5, 9 or 12-hour flight, And
right.
when you get over, you've lost 8 hours or 6 hours. So I mean, it doesn't really happen in the first place. Okay. Good night.
Night.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye bye.